Dr. Bk Edmond is a board-certified anesthesiologist with over 25 years in the field. He is a graduate of Morehouse College and Atlanta Harvard Medical School and Harvard's Brigham and Women's Anesthesiology Residency. He is a former military physician and has worked at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, where he is one of their master clinicians. He has been on the staff of Johns Hopkins Anesthesia and Critical Care since 2011, where he works regularly in the Weinberg Cancer Center. In 2011, he led an initiative to transfer equipment for a Washington-based breast clinic over to the Ghanaian embassy. His interest in international health has continued as he has worked with IGPC, a nonprofit committed to expanding quality surgical support services in Africa. Dr. Edmond's first book, Nana and the Bushwoman, originated from his research and preparation of the Breast Initiative Project. The story and its innovative approach to self-breast exams and the use of the short story medium have received a solid welcome from many notable leaders in the medical field. Dr. Edmond has been actively engaged in mentoring and assisting unrepresented students interested in health professions. He is a member of the National Association of Advisors for the Health Professions and is one of the physician speakers featured on the Black Men in White Coats podcast. His motto is, "The race is not to the swift nor to the strong, but to him that endures to the end." Dr. Edmond is married to Dr. Regina Carpenter Edmond and is the father of Jordan Edmond.
Dr. Bk Edmond. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Garnett Cancer Society Nonprofit Spotlight. We are so excited to have you as our special guest this evening. I am just delighted. And before we get started, because everywhere I have read about you, I keep seeing BK. So I want to know what that BK stands for before we get started.
There you go. The BK stands for Byron Carl Edmond.
Okay. Nice
K is
name.
for Carl. That's it.
Sounds really nice, really rich. Well, thank you so much for joining us. The month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness and Cancer Awareness Month. And I have felt and I feel a huge responsibility, especially to the Black, Brown communities, providing professional spotlights and resourceful resources of information on our Garnett Cancer Society non-for-profit YouTube channel and Facebook. So being that said, last year, as I was ending my cancer treatments of invasive carcinoma breast cancer, a mutual friend of ours provided me with a very special gifted book. This book right here, Nana and the Bushwoman, A Tale with Truth. And I'm telling you, this is a phenomenal book. Which I believe, is this your first publication?
That's the first publication.
Okay, well, it is.
I've done. It's the second story, but the first publication.
Okay, well, this is just so awesome. I found to be very intriguing storyline, and the proactiveness, the awareness, and the participation of breast cancer that you have put into this book is a must read for everyone.
Right.
Male, female alike. So thank you so much.
Right. It's so good to see people enjoying the read, but more importantly, enjoying the message. And it was designed to captivate the reader, but also kind of ease them into a nice health message. Yes. And I think that along the way, I was able to give some nuggets of knowledge that help in terms of relationship, sisterhood, and things of that nature. And it was written for my mom, and she likes it, but it's good to know that other people enjoy it.
Yeah, because well, as I understood it correctly, you dedicated this book to 3 influential women in your life, and one being your mom. Can you tell us about your mom and the other two ladies? I know it's on page 41, but they have to get
Sure.
to read it.
There you go. My mom is Bk Edmond, and she's about 83. She's living in Atlanta, and she's about a 12-year survivor.
Awesome.
Probably, I think, yeah, actually 10-year survivor for breast cancer right now. And while I was, some of the research that I did that gave me the background to write a story like this, well, that came from a medical missionary project I did in 2011. And it was while I was working on a breast cancer project that my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow.
So it just turned out that when this story came to me, and I was telling it for years, but finally with the COVID, there was a slowdown enough to actually just, get it down in writing.
Yeah.
And the dedication is to my mom, and also the other person it's dedicated to is Delisa Jordan Dotson, who was my sister's best friend, who passed away in, I think, about 97 from breast cancer. But my son Jordan is actually named after her family. So Jordan Edwin is my own son. Yeah. And the other person who it's named after is Karen. I called her Boom Boom. She's another woman who was kind of a play sister who I was raised with, but she actually passed away July 14th last year. That was the date that we published the book.
Wow.
And from breast cancer, from a good, strong fight for breast cancer. So I dedicated to those three women. But I also have to acknowledge my sisters who basically lent me their ear, and my oldest sister who taught me to read. And sometimes when I write, I'm writing in her voice.
In her voice. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that goes right to my next question. How did this particular story come about from you? Yes, a male, and yes, a certified anesthesiologist.
Right.
So
well, the way a story comes out like this is because when I was I worked on the project to try and have some breast surgical equipment delivered to the country of Ghana. And it was while I was doing that, I talked with some of the surgeons. I looked at some of the research papers coming out of Ghana, and the incidence of advanced breast cancer on presentation is about 70 to 80%. So literally 80% of the time they're presenting with an advanced cancer. And I was asking the questions. I had to ask the question and look at some of the articles on why are they presenting in a delayed fashion.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons they're presenting in a delayed fashion is because they're noticing things, but they're noticing things on their breast, but sometimes they go to traditional healing first, and they delay coming to modern medicine. With breast cancer, it's a little bit different disease in that the earlier you find it, the better your chances.
Exactly.
So the reality is I wanted to try and figure a way where we could bridge the gap between traditional and modern medicine. And in order to do that, I came up with the concept of this woman called the Bushwoman.
Oh, look.
It's a woman who goes between both worlds. She's respected and honored as a traditionalist, as the matriarch of her family, but she is also she's what's called a big woman, meaning she has the ability to function on the highest levels of business, but she's a modern woman as well. So she's the one who practices traditional medicine, but as soon as she finds an issue, she makes a beeline and makes sure that her family gets modern care. That's life-saving.
Yeah, I know that. Now, is it Accra, Ghana? Is that how you pronounce it?
Accra.
Accra.
From us, we're from America. We can call it home, but let's call it Accra.
Accra.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So Accra, Ghana is one of the public hospitals that is actually a location in your book, isn't it?
No, I'm sorry. The city of Accra.
The city of Accra.
The city of Accra. Right. I don't mention the hospital, but I did go over to travel to Ghana and extensively look into breast cancer services at one of the major hospitals in Accra. And but the city is Accra. So I
Yeah.
use Accra as the setting, kind of the city part.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So it is actually a country in West Africa.
Mhm.
That's where you provided breast health services, correct?
Yes, ma'am. In Ghana. That's it.
Excuse me, in Ghana. While you were there, was there any woman there that depicted, excuse me,
Mhm.
that of the Bushwoman?
Mhm. That while I was there, how can I say this? I didn't see anyone there, but I knew people who were from America who'd been over to Ghana who had a lot of those traits, okay? Who had, uh, tough, steely eyed, handles her business. But yeah, I know women who are like the Bushwoman, and my mother's an extremely strong personality. And she was able to raise 4 kids, while my father was in Vietnam, while she was in college. Okay, she went back to school
Uh-huh. So
with 4 children and made straight A's.
she went back to college raising how many children?
Four.
Okay.
And there were 4 of us. And while my dad was in Vietnam. And so I know I've been around women like that. When I went over to Ghana, I saw women who can function like that. Absolutely.
I'm
I
so
did.
I'm so sure. I think the Bushwoman has such a strong personality. She's
Mhm.
a strong force. I mean, I could literally see all the characters, but I could see her so vividly as I was reading the book. And if I can get through this without making any more coughing here,
No problem.
page 13, I would like to read some excerpts. That
Mhm.
you have. Page 13, paragraph 2, and it's verses 2 through 7.
Mhm.
I want to read this. So everybody, you'll have to get the book to catch up on where this is coming from. The bus immediately left, headed to Accra. Seated across from Bushwoman, Nana noted the first stages of what seemed to be like a physical transformation. Bushwoman's posture changed. Instead of a head down stoop, her back straightened. Her shoulders became erect and broadened. Her chin, which in the village was held close to her chest, kept her head somewhat bowed, now was raised, revealing a surprisingly eloquent neck. The erratic, abrupt movements of her arms and legs as she navigated the first part of the morning in the village and forest were replaced by graceful, elegant movements that spoke of an air of refinement. Nana's mouth dropped open. Her eyes widened as Bushwoman crossed her legs in European fashion, turned to Nana, and began removing her Bushwoman's jungle hat with mosquito net. Instead of a serious scrawl that was difficult to read, the transformation of Bushwoman was completed when she graciously gave Nana a fully relaxed, youthful smile, showing perfect teeth through naturally full lips. How does this woman, the Bushwoman, correlate to a 21st century woman of color?
Absolutely. Excellent question. This Bushwoman is the quintessential modern day African American woman on the move.
Yes.
She's actually when she undergoes that transition, she's intelligent, but she's refined, she's beautiful, she's gracious,
Yes.
she has poise that's born of being in environments where she's had to function on an extremely high professional level. But what all of this, I love that part. that part of the book, because that's the part where she's kind of coming out of her cocoon.
Oh, yes.
Before then, she walks people through the bush. She walks Nana through the bush, and there are butterflies that are coming up. So I'm trying to give a little hint that there's a change that's about to occur. But what happens is it's on that bus where we actually see her in the full power of her coming to rest. And I think that that as people raise, I have nieces, I don't have daughters, but as we raise our nieces, as we look at the opportunities that women in general and African-American women specifically have nowadays in terms of education and in terms of the ability to move forward, in terms of becoming entrepreneurs and entering every field of profession. I think that the Bushwoman is on par with them, but also was kind of a leader or one of those in that country. She's one of those. I view her as one of those first women to get out there and do what Oprah did and do what Beyonce's doing now and Rihanna's doing right now. But she is a modern day woman. And that's one of the things that attracted Nana to her.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful. And I could see that. And you're correct, as the metamorphoses was taking place, going through the forest and the butterflies and everything. And I love butterflies. I could see it, I can feel it. And what happened on the inside of me during that reading and the reading that I just read is that I was like, Nana, what is she doing? Who is this? And it made me think about myself. When I was going through my journey of breast cancer, that there was a place and a time of the onset that I was like that scrawl, that kind of bowed down head, chin, because I'm like, what is this? What am I getting ready to go through? What is my husband getting ready to experience again? And this is so, God, where are you? And yes, I went through that. I went through the forest and the butterflies began to come and fly all around. And I sat before professionals in the medical field that helped me through this journey, and family and friends.
Right.
And I had a transformation.
There you go. And the other thing about this situation is you have the Bushwoman, who's an unknown entity, kind of just taking Nana by the hand. And she takes her by the hand more than just one time, but twice. But it's when she's taken her by the hand that Nana actually kind of like displays some faith.
Yes.
And saying, I don't know where this woman is taking me, but wherever she's going, I know I'm going with her.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things that we have to understand about the Lord as he takes you through trials. You don't necessarily know where you're going.
Don't know where you.
But you can rest assured that he has your hand in his, and he knows where he's going.
Yeah.
You may not know, but he does.
Another part of the book on page 19, paragraph 4. I love when the Bushwoman says, "Sister of my spirit," is the secret name of the Bushwoman. And on page 21, paragraph 5, the woman reveals to Nana, who was 33 years old, and I quote the Bushwoman, "I was younger than you when I was diagnosed with breast cancer." Now I'm jumping here because you and I both know that the U.S. Prevention Services states that breast cancer begins at age 50 through 70. And that's just really crazy to start breast screenings at age 50. When I know of people that have been diagnosed and unfortunately was succumbed by their diagnosis of breast cancer at the early age of 18.
Right. And what's different is that the 50 is for all people. That's why they use that as a target. They didn't use that as a target for African-American women specifically. And this is an example where research and the results of research actually have an impact. And there's a difference between the breast cancer in the African-American woman and breast cancer in some other populations. African-American women, when you get under if you look at women who have breast cancer under the age of 50,
yes,
a disproportionate number of them are actually African-American. So while overall African-Americans, women develop breast cancer at a lower incidence, maybe 1 in 9, reality is when they develop it, it's much more aggressive. And on the other side of things, they are that cadre of women who have breast cancer early, a disproportionate number of them are African Americans. So the reality is when you look at some of the if you look at some of the more recent articles and such, one of the things that's happened is being an African American woman automatically qualifies you as a high risk for breast cancer in America. And I think it was the American Radiological Society and Breast Imaging Society in 2018. They basically checked the box that if you're an African American woman, you're at high risk. Right. So if you're not at high risk, 50 is okay to start mammograms. But if you are at high risk, if you're an African American woman, then the reality is you really need to start thinking about a breast health plan at about the age of 25.
Yeah.
So at the age of 25, and at the end, you should have what's called do a breast screening test. What that is basically about 5 or 6 questions that you're going to answer about the prevalence of breast cancer in your family. You know, did your mother, did your aunt, did your grandmother have it? Do you have a sister who had it? They're going to ask questions like that. And they'll ask other questions that will help to identify whether or not they won't be able to say, they'll say, you can say, I like to think whether you are high risk. The reality is that there's so many different factors involved in breast cancer that the main thing you want to do is by the age of 25 to 30, you want to have worked with your primary care doctor or your gynecologist to actually have what's called a lifetime breast health plan. You do the screening between the ages of 25 and 30. And based upon that discussion, you can decide to maybe do mammograms at the age of 40 or 45. You may also want to use other modalities such as, CTs or MRIs or ultrasounds to help in terms of defining your breast health plan. The key is we have to get women to lock in, and men to lock into the concept of by the age of 25 having a plan for how they're going to approach it over the course of their life.
Yes, yes, and it is so important, as I always say, to know your body, and not only know your body, but one of the models that we have in the Garnett Cancer Society is that your pathology matters. That's our statement. If you don't know your pathology, then what you don't know can hurt you. What you don't know can't hurt you. It can hurt you, and so it's very important to know that. And I'm so glad that you explained that in more detail, because I know I have read and done so much research, and there have been times where the research says that second to the Hispanic race, the Black race of females is the second highest in fatality for breast cancer.
Right, and even in America, so if I said that the rate for advanced presentation, that means when it presents to the doctor, it's already a little out of control. It's 80% in Ghana. The reality is in America for African American women is 40%.
Wow. Okay.
And now for the rest of the general population, it might be as low as 30 to 32 or 33%. The whole point being is that, as if we are, if our, if the women in our community are at high risk, then we have to arm them in order to be able to address this. And one of the ways to arm them, and this is what's so interesting, if you look at some of the articles about, breast exams or breast exams that are performed by your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the research will say, well, your doctor performing a breast exam, because they're only seeing it your breast every now and then, it's not really all that helpful. But ultimately, most of them come down to that concept that you just mentioned, and that is knowing your body.
Knowing
And
your
that's
body.
why with this, and having an understanding of what's normal and not normal in you. And that's why having a more uplifting and positive approach to a self-breast exam, something that's easier to remember, something that's uplifting and positive, is important. And that's why we use the words, the symbols for wisdom, versatility, and greatness to train a new generation of women on how to do quality breast exams, and then to remind our older generation of women and lighten the load of doing this exam on a monthly or whatever time frame you use for your exam.
And we definitely are going to get to that, the wisdom, the versatility, and the greatness. We're definitely going to get to that. Before we do, I would like to know, sisters of the spirit, or sister of my spirit, what does that mean? When the Bushwoman says, oh, I know what they called me.
Right. They call me the Bushwoman.
Call me the
from now on.
But I want you to know my secret name. You hear my accent? I want you to know my secret name.
That's right. That's right. That's what that means is that that number one, there's an intimacy that Sister My Spirit is sharing with her, but also by saying Sister My Spirit, it's actually letting Nana know. It's letting Nana know that Sister My Spirit has been there. I am of your spirit. I know what you're about to go through. But what's more important, she's there with her. So I think Sister My Spirit as a secret name, what it does is it basically brings Nana into a closer partnership with the family. It brings Nana in a closer partnership with the leader of the family. So in short, Nana's been out to eat. She knows that the day before she's been out to eat, she knows that there's that the Bushwoman has a ulterior side or second personality or second life, a hidden life really. But what she now knows is that it's more than just a hidden life. She's actually about to be brought into as close to, as a child to Sister My Spirit. Sister My Spirit is gonna ride. We call it in Georgia, we say riding shotgun. She knows that Nana's gonna go through something, but Sister My Spirit is there for you. And that intimacy, it builds over the course of the story, because and that's why one of the things I like about the tale.
Okay, I was looking for my next reading. I just want to share the screen here, because this powerful book is an introduction of Nana and the Bushwoman, a short story that introduces the new breast exam approach, which I think is phenomenal. And as you can see, that the story is supported by 3 past presidents of the National Medical Association. And so that even lets you know the power that's within this book. I want to do just a few, I'm going to do some jump arounds.
Okay.
Excerpts. So from page 28, this is where it is saying, Sister of my spirit, in a firm yet sensitive, steady voice, told Nana that regardless of the test results, she was part of their family now and her position was secure, talking about family. And that over the coming weeks, Nana would heal physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I'm going to jump over to page 27 into the first paragraph. Since the next morning, Sister of my Spirit received a call from the doctor's office. Expecting the worst, and that's Nana, she was told that the results was benign, something that we all would love to hear, but we all don't always get. There is no cancer. And then Sister of my Spirit kissed her own small finger with her lips and touched Nana's forehead.
That's right.
Transfer the kiss to her. She spoke a phrase that Nana would remember forever. Seize all of life's blessings, child, and live. Now,
that is one of those nuggets of knowledge that I wanted to put in there. And it's what's important about that phrase is it reminds you to look forward in life. And I don't come by that from my own. I have a father who's been suffering with a leukemia for maybe about 8 years. But if I call him today and ask Dad, how you doing? He'll say it's the best day of my life.
Wow, how powerful is that?
Yesterday is dead and gone, and tomorrow's not guaranteed, but I have right now.
Yes,
put my best foot into it. So the reality is I was trying to capture that. And another phrase that I like, it's taken from the play Anti-Mame, where she says, I want to live, live, live. Life is a banquet. Most poor suckers are starving. Well, what I wanted to do was come up with a phrase that would capture that, but would be a little bit more intimate. So that's why I came up with the concept, seize all of life's blessings and live. What that means is that if God carries you over a trial, your job is not necessarily to go towards the next mountain with your head turning backwards.
Okay.
If he carries you through one trial, the reality is he wants you to take that next day, that next week, and put your best into it, seizing all of life's opportunities. Some people, and if you listen to Sister My Spirit, when Sister My Spirit described what happened to her when she was diagnosed and when she had the mastectomy, she had to come to the concept of seizing all of life's blessings and live. She had a man who loved her and would have married her as she was, but because she knew that she felt her strength as a person was her beauty. Because she was scarred or had a mastectomy at a young age, she felt she didn't have anything else to offer the man. But in reality, it took her to maturing some, becoming a leader in her family, for her to understand that what she really offers is her spirit and her soul. That's the essence of her. So the reality is that the example of not seizing all of life's blessings and living was Sister My Spirit when she was diagnosed. But what she and Sirwa basically have come to understand is that, hey, as we go over these things, as we make it past these trials in life, we have to forgive ourselves, forgive others, forgive our bodies.
Yes.
Lay that aside and wake up each morning and say, okay, I got what I got. I'm gonna make the best out of what I can with God's help. And that's why we want to seize all of life's blessings. It's basically trying to get people to understand that each day is precious. And to understand that when you make it through those trials, you're still obligated to put as much as you can into that life. Once again, back to my father, he has good days and bad days, but my mother and my father have an understanding, and that is that Dad is going to do what he can do.
Yes.
Whatever I can do this day, I'm going to do.
It's
It means walking slow, but walking.
but it's still
You know,
walking. I have
exercising,
sex,
doing his thing in
but
order to
high, but I'm still kicking.
That's right. That is really, and that's one of the messages that I wanted to share with survivors and stuff. And my mother, as a survivor, lives that way as well too.
Yeah.
She's exercising every day, just as live,
Awesome.
trying to get the most out of it.
I want to go to our next slide. You talked about the different types of exams, the new type of exam. And Nana was shown how to do self-breast exams. A lot of women don't even know how to do self-breast exams. And I find that these 3 words have very interesting and very practical motions for how to do a breast exam. I have shared that I do my self-breast exam when I'm in the shower, because with the water, and you can feel more going through with the water going over your skin and things like that. But however a woman needs to do her breast exam, I think that it would be so profound now to include these 3 symbols and 3 words: wisdom, versatility, and greatness. Will you explain them to us, please?
I sure will and stuff. And basically, these are 3 symbols that come from, they're called Adinkra, the Adinkra symbols. And they are art symbols that originate in West Africa, in Ivory Coast, and Ghana. And basically, they're about 100 or so different symbols that mean different things. Let me give you an example. I'll say it like this. If I show you a sign of a deer on a yellow sign that's bounding while you're driving, if you see that sign, what is that telling you?
Okay, it's
deer crossing. Look out for deer.
Exactly.
So what's happening is that sign or the symbol of that deer is actually serving as a communication. It's communicating more than just, hey, a deer is there. It's communicating that this is a deer crossing. If you want to go even deeper, hey, we know that deer have been hit here before. Be on guard. It's almost telling you to slow down. In other words, it's a symbol of a deer, but it's actually giving you more messages than you know. Well, these symbols actually are affiliated with parables. So when we look at the symbol for wisdom, wisdom is actually tells about the parable and recognizes one of the smallest, but wisest animals in nature, which is the spider. What the spider has to do is be tactical in terms of how they live their life. They're not going to overpower anybody, but they have to be able to set a web. They have to be able to be patient. They have to be able to understand their environment so that they're setting up a web in a proper place. And so you had West Africans learning lessons from nature. And that's why the symbol for wisdom is shaped in that way, almost similar to a little spider web. But what you have to understand, and then if you go to the next symbol, which is versatility, and versatility basically comes from the parable, which explains and lets people know that in life, in order to move towards your goal, you're not going to be able to take a straight line. You're going to have to be able to twist and turn and show flexibility and resiliency while you're moving towards your goal.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so that's what the symbol versatility, stands for. So,
yeah, you won't be able to take a straight road.
You're never going to be able to take a straight line towards your goal. And the thing that allows you to survive, the thing that allows you to thrive, is your ability to meet crises and be versatile. So I like the versatility for sisters who are survivors. Okay. But the next symbol is greatness, which is Adinkra. It's just the strongest Adinkra symbol that there is and stuff. And it's a sign of royalty and greatness. Now, what we are asking people to do is the normal teaching is to teach people to use wedges,
Mm-hmm.
lines,
Mm-hmm.
and circles in order to perform a quality self-breast exam. So
Okay.
move your fingers in wedges, move your fingers in lines, and move your fingers in circles.
So that may be my next slide.
Right, but what we're basically telling people is to understand that if you just remember these patterns for wisdom, versatility, and greatness, and move your hands in those patterns, then you'll give yourself a quality self-breast exam. And we had the technique reviewed by Dr. Shriver, who's one of from a group of breast cancer surgeons.
Okay.
Actually looked at the model, and I had some breast cancer surgeons look at it. I also had experts in women's health look at it. And if you just move your hands in these patterns,
Yes.
for wisdom, versatility, and greatness,
Mhm.
you'll give yourself the same quality, a better quality exam, or the same quality exam that you get with the classic teaching of wedges, lines, and circles. But there's one difference, and that is if words have power,
Mm-hmm. And they do.
if words have power, then let's look at what the words are. Wedges,
Wedges.
it's kind of stale, scientific, it means nothing. Wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
it's uplifting, it's
Yeah.
self-affirming, that I'm wise, that I'm special, okay, that I can understand things. Lines versus versatility, which actually stands for my ability to survive, my ability to adjust. I'm moving my hands across my breast in terms of in lines for that. And then let's ask the question: circles
Circles.
versus
Greatness.
self-greatness and
Yeah.
lifting yourself up. And that's just the same, you're moving in the exact same pattern that you're using for doing circles. But the words are different, and words have power. So instead of just trying to remember, what is it? Is it wedges, lines, and circles to move my hands for a self-breast exam? It's more uplifting to say, hey, I'm going to celebrate the wisdom, versatility, and greatness that makes me unique in the eyes of God.
Mm-hmm.
This is the side that ties them in. And so literally the wedges, lines, and circles is what everyone's taught. And if you look at most books, but what happened was my brother, who I love, everybody has to have a brother with vision. And that's my older brother, Rod. He's a doctor and a lawyer. But what he did, he went and got some tattoos. And I was like, what are those on your arms and stuff? And then he said, they're Adinkra symbols from Ghana. And what I did was, in writing the book, when I was writing some of the final drafts of the book, I had Jesse Elliott, a breast surgeon. I wanted to see his hands performing an exam so that I could do a better description in the book. And he was moving it in circles. And then I looked at one of the guides he was using. I said, hey, I've seen that mark on my brother's arm. That
Wow.
means greatness. And then when I saw that, and this is, I went back and looked at the other hundreds of Adinkra symbols to find some that correspond with lines and correspond with wedges. And lo and behold, wisdom, versatility, and greatness were the ones that corresponded the best.
And so here it shows the circles, the wedges, the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know that the circle is greatness.
Yes.
The wedges mean wisdom, and the lines mean
versatility. It stands for versatility and character.
And so these figures here, this graphs is showing the hand position and the movement. And I'm seeing that it actually looks like you're starting at the top.
Yeah, you're welcome to start from the outside and move in, or start from the inside and move out. Mm-hmm. The key is just moving yourself in a circular pattern.
Circular pattern.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's with wisdom wedges. Are you using all four or just 3 fingers? It looks like the,
Usually use, the teaching is usually the palms of your middle 3 fingers. If you just use mostly the bottom side of your middle 3 fingers, I don't have a big one, but I'm going to perpetrate. Okay. All righty, we're going to perpetrate. So basically, if I'm doing mine, I'm taking these 3 fingers. Let's just go with these 3 fingers and let's start right here. And then I'll work my way out. And I'll work my way under.
I see.
I'll work my way down. And so what you do is you want to actually be moving, almost moving your fingers across in that pattern. So you're feeling on deeper levels and stuff as you go. When I'm doing lines, I'll start here, move over and just come over, coming up. Of course, a little slower with suds and everything. I'm doing it a little faster to get through, okay? But in this, what you'll be able to do is sometimes you'll be able to feel something. The key is you're looking for any lumps that are not painful, okay?
Correct.
And we're not looking for painful things. The key is we want to identify changes or something that changes over a month or so that is not normal. And with circles, I usually teach starting from the center and then expanding that circle.
I see.
More like that. But the reality is a friend of mine, God bless her, came up to me after she read the book and she said she's been to the doctor and her doctor really has never even, approached her and told her, hey, this is how you check yourself.
This is, yes.
You know?
And it's so important. It's so important to know. I know that when I go to my follow-up visits, and my oncologist comes and checks my breast, she's checking it while she's talking.
Right.
Never says to me, why she's checking it this way, nor what she's looking for. But me being the inquisitive person that I am.
What are you looking for?
Yeah. What are you looking for? And why are you feeling that way? Because, when you're doing this,
Right.
Okay, are you playing the piano or what are we doing here?
What they're able to do when you move your fingers up and like this across it, these 3 fingers, when you're moving it across it, you'll be able to feel the differences between if there's something there. One of the things that you may see is people will say, hey, they used to say, check your breast every month, okay? What they found was that, if you just do straight self-breast exams, they found some research to say, hey, it didn't, it didn't affect overall, the overall death rate, from the cancer. But what's kind of interesting is that I don't know if they did that in a high-risk population. And I don't know if they did that in a group of women that don't necessarily always have access to the highest level of care, like mammograms and healthcare and proper follow-up and things of that nature.
Sure.
But one of the things I can say is there was this article in 2011, and they basically were looking at maybe about 300 or 400 survivors, 300 or 400 women who made it through the breast cancer and did well. And what they found was that of the 300 or 400 that they were looking at, almost 25% of the women diagnosed themselves on a self-breast exam.
Yes.
About 18% of the women diagnosed themselves by accident. Hey, I feel something, this is new, I'm coming in. But they weren't doing necessarily a breast exam, but they just found something.
Yeah.
So if you add that 18 with the 25, that's a decent percentage of women who presented, on their own efforts. And now mammograms were responsible in that study for about 47% of the diagnoses. But so when you look at this, the self breast exam is not the end all, But I think in high-risk populations, and if you're in our group, I think that in our community, it only makes common sense to know your body. And that's why we tie into knowing your body. I'm not saying you should do this every month no, just when you do it, know how to do it. Let's learn how to do this in a positive manner so that you know how to examine yourself and tell your daughters how to examine themselves and your nieces how to examine themselves, so that you'll be able to know not what to look for, but how to look on yourself. Okay?
Exactly.
And the other reason that I'll mention that's kind of interesting is that there's new technology coming out. And the new technology that they're using, and it hasn't been perfected yet, but you know, God bless us if it does. What they're doing is basically doing some experiments where they're taking ultrasound, which with handheld ultrasound devices that may be almost like your cell phone attached to an ultrasound. And what they're doing is teaching lay people. They're teaching people like you how to basically, if you feel as you examine, if you feel something, what they do is they have you take an image of an ultrasound image of it, and you take it longitudinal, then you take it sideways, long ways, sideways, and then what you do is you just take 2 pictures of it, and you take it and you upload it to an app or upload it to a computer, and artificial intelligence, which is the computer, will tell you what type of cyst or mass it is. And it'll also tell you, you know, whether you need to go see the doctor for it or not. But so what it is you'll have technology that's coming down the pipe that's going to extend the ability of women to care for themselves.
Sure.
You know? But if you don't know how to do the self-breast exam,
you're not going to understand and know how to do that.
You're not going to you won't be able to get from the word go.
And I'm just going to throw this in before I go to the next thing, and hopefully the insurances will accept it and not reject it, because I'm telling you that that's been a major issue going through the journey, that the insurance that you pay for is going to tell you what you don't need. And anyway, hopefully that won't be the case. Dr. Edmond, since your research preparation with the breast intuitive project.
Oh, I didn't do the research. I just read on it. I read on it, and if you look at at the end of the book, I don't give super detailed information at the end of the book. I just give 3 points, three things that sisters can do right now.
So I know you were saying, I know in your book, and I just whetting everybody's appetite on page 45, you mentioned the 3 keys to early diagnosis. I know that, as I always say, know your body. And so know them. And the other is risk assessment. And the other one is up-to-date sources of knowledge. So can you give some voice to each one of those?
Yeah, I sure can. Know your body is exactly what you said. And the key is that, like I said, if over 40% of the time, if you're going to do well, the diagnosis is going to come, or not the diagnosis, but the noticing something or a change is going to come from the individual. Then the key is you have to know how to check yourself. So use the hand movement patterns, wisdom, versatility, and greatness, to just know your body. Okay. The free risk assessment. If you go on this site that I chose and stuff, is a nice site to ask 6 questions and it just give you an idea to have you thinking right. And they'll give you some information so that when you go to talk to your primary care doctor, you're about, hey, what's my breast health plan? We want the breast health plan for life. That means that if you have, and you may use any one of the different modalities, the mammograms, ultrasounds, MRIs, or even genetic testing. But the thing that will determine that it has to be individualized. Because say if I was a woman or if I'm a man, my mother and my sister and my grandmother and my aunts all had breast cancer.
Okay.
And guess what? You know, I need to be getting checked earlier.
For
And
sure.
I may need to consider, you know, some discussions to say, hey, what type of breast cancer did they have? So what you want to do is set an individual plan, but discuss it. We have to start talking about it early, 25, 30. When do we start taking this into consideration?
Yeah, and not be fearful of it. That's one thing why we do this, why the Brain and Cancer Society presents these professional spotlights, is to help decrease the fear of the word cancer. You know,
Absolutely.
the amygdala for some people just freeze and don't want to hear it and they do nothing, but you can't allow that to cause you to be stumped and not do anything. You talked about the risk assessment. I think what you have in the book is, I don't know if this is a name, I would just say it's B.
Yeah, it's the what you call it, it's the site. If you punch that into your computer, it'll take you straight to a nice thing. I think it's run through NIH, if I'm not, the National Institutes of Health, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So
they give a nice little, they're only gonna have you ask about 6 questions. And afterwards you'll be able to take those 6 questions to your doctor. And hey, this is where I am. I want to have a discussion on breast health. Okay,
and that's the National Institute of Health.
I think it is.
Okay.
Don't hold me to it, but if it's not from them, it's sponsored by them.
Okay. Then the third you have is up-to-date source of knowledge.
Right.
And you list all of this on page 45.
Right.
Again, that's what we're trying to do, provide personal testimonies, professional spotlights, you know.
For me, I chose those 2 sources. The first source I chose is called is the page for Sisters by Choice,
yes.
Which is it's a African American breast cancer nonprofit that's run out of Atlanta, Georgia, and it's run by one of the strongest breast surgeons in the area. She's in the middle of not retired, but slowing things down some. But the reality is she's affected thousands of women's lives over the course of her career. But the reality is she started an organization that really focuses on diagnosing breast cancer. So they basically have mammograms and ultrasounds that they've loaded into 18-wheeler trucks, and they travel out to different parts of the state of Georgia where they don't have quality care. Sure. And they basically are able to do, you know, screening and diagnosis on site. And that's why I supported them. It's called Sisters by Choice. It's a nonprofit. And the other reference that I use is actually there's a lady named Dr. Barbara Love who I was in one of her classes at Harvard Medical School, but she has an organization out on the West Coast and stuff where she's basically doing cutting edge research in terms of diagnosis and things of that nature on breast cancer. And when I looked at the different sites, I just found her site to be the most engaging, her site to be the most informative, and her site to be the most up-to-date in terms of information, in terms of the trends that are going on in breast health. And
research, the cutting edge is also important.
But they make it, but it's research, guys. And so when you hear research, don't run the other way. They make it plain. They make it applicable. They make it useful. And that's one of the differences in terms of what they do.
Because so you didn't do the research, but are you familiar or have you heard anything of the outcome numbers concerning breast cancer since you were there?
Since I was there in Ghana? I mean, they're still riding the same 70% last I heard.
Okay.
So in other words, the key is 70% present with an advanced stage. And, you know, but now, you know, there are new movements happening in Ghana right now where they're not as broad as what happens in America, where you have millions of people marching, you know, during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But they do have, you know, they got 40, 50,000. I think they had 35,000 people doing it, and it's catching fire there right now and stuff, because people are starting to realize that it is survivable. You really had a situation there where you didn't have enough people who have been through the battle and survived for other people to see, hey, she did it, so I can do it too. So right now, so they're having marches and everything. They have different organizations that are nonprofits that go out and do work in the communities in order to increase awareness. And the reality is that, you know, they have a ways to go. In Ghana, they have they have clusters of very young people who get the breast cancer. They also have situations where, you know, they have a higher incidence of triple negative breast cancer, which is also what happens with African American women in America. Yeah. But the bottom line is, you know, as when we look at Ghana and we look towards Africa, we need to understand that, you know, the number one killer that's going to be, they predict, you know, within the next 5 or 10 years, I think the number one killer is actually going to be cancer. It's not going to be malaria, TB, HIV, or anything like that. The reality is the continent itself is modernizing. So as it modernizes, you know, those infectious issues get taken care of. Yeah. And you have to deal with more chronic issues. We'll call them chronic, like breast cancer. Yes.
So 1 + 1 equals. Talk about that.
Okay. Well, in this story, I present a concept where Sister of My Spirit asks Nana, tells Nana that she's going to teach her a mathematics equation that's been around for centuries. And the mathematical equation is, what is 1 + 1 in a family? And Nana says 2. And Sister of My Spirit explains that that's not the way it is. And the reality is that if the right man is with the right woman, 1 + 1 equals infinity. Meaning it's limitless. And what that means is that, and the concept I'm trying to portray is that when you're looking for a partner, when people are pairing up in life, you need to find somebody who's with you that makes you want to be better than you are. If you're a woman or a man, you want someone who makes you want to, I call it, makes you want to go pick cotton. You know, someone who you're willing to work for. And it's the concept that whereas you have 2 people who are on a team. And I drew it from actually just observing Michelle Obama and Barack Obama's relationship. I firmly believe that if Barack Obama was not married to Michelle Obama, he probably would have been a senator. Okay, he'd have been a senator or maybe a governor or something like that. He had that much talent. But I don't think he'd have been president of the United States unless he was partnered with a sister like Michelle Obama. The 2 of them together are really a force. And when you look at positive changes that occur in communities, a lot of times, you know, it's based on it'll be a couple that gets together and helps to make a change. Yeah. The man may get the credit, but it's actually 2 people moving and making it happen. So
true. Behind every great man behind every great man.
Is it behind? The key is, everybody says behind every great man, there's a great woman. What I'm telling you is that when they're joined in a 1 + 1 component or structure, it's not a man versus woman, it's a us.
It's a us.
It's a us. And the key is that my prayer is that when men and women are making decisions on who they want to partner with, that they take the time to make sure that the person that they partner with makes them better. You know, I didn't say lift you up or give you more, but actually injects more potential for good in your life. And I think that's what I meant by 1 + 1 = infinity. And with Nana, she was handpicked by Sister My Spirit. And Sister My Spirit basically handpicked her because she knew and she knows the prince better than anybody else. She knows what the prince needs in order to make it happen. Yeah. She knows what the prince needs in order to make it happen. So her bringing Nana into the family, and Nana in her own right is a big woman. She's kind of like Michelle Obama or something like that. You know what I mean? She's you know, she's from Ghana, but has spent 15 years in America and is a sister girl who has done well professionally.
Very well for herself.
Winning awards and accolades.
Mm-hmm.
But when she comes back and stuff, and buys into the tradition, she doesn't understand that the Bushwoman or Sister My Spirit has plans for her. And she knows that she is the proper 1 + 1 to go with this prince. And that the entire family is actually dependent upon what happens between the two of them.
Yeah.
And in the end of the book, you see, you know, it's only been a year. And within a year, Nana has already established revolutionary changes that are going to change generations in the family, in the community, and in that part of the country of Ghana and stuff, in terms of when she's starting that women's educational center and stuff.
Yes. I just have a few more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, I must ask this. We talked about women knowing their bodies, knowing that your pathology matters, as the Gwinnett Cancer Society says, and having genetic testing. We know that helps the daughters of mothers. Mm-hmm. What about the males? Will there be a future work or a sequel for males?
I'm going to have to put something together for the men, okay, for sure.
Before we close, will you do us the honor in reading the last sentence of page 39 to the top of page 40?
Okay, we'll give it a shot. Let's see if my last page is 39.
Very last sentence that's in bold.
Gotcha, that's it. That's 100%. And this is this is one of the take homes from the book. It says, may the burden of the secrets of mothers, daughters, sisters, and aunts who have suffered in silence and perished in fear be released this day. Through wisdom, versatility, and greatness, may each of us commit to seize all of life's blessings and live. My name is Dr. Bk Edmond, and thank you for having me on Spotlight. And, you know, we're just trying to go after breast cancer where we can.
Thank you. Thank you so much for these voices that came through this phenomenal, awesome book, especially the voice of Nana and the Bushwoman's voices. May each woman survivor of breast cancer and any other cancer know that you too are sister of the spirit.
There you go. I like that.
Of your spirit. Thank you so much. This has just been an honor.
Hey.
So appreciate
No,
you.
it's been an honor for me. I appreciate you reading the book. You like quoting things out the side. I was like, okay, I enjoyed this. And I enjoyed meeting you. And one day I hope to see you face to face.
Most definitely.
Everything slows down, but the main thing is, you know, let's get out here. Ease them into doing quality self-breast exams, and let's save some lives. You know?
Let's save some lives. All right. Thank you so much.